There, that'll be the one. Now we're in sync. Just audio in sync, not personality.
Damn it, I thought for 1 second you were being nice to me.
You should start, because it was because of you.
I was finishing up film school, and I was sort of going from being in front of the camera to being interested to behind in terms of directing, but also mainly writing. And then Ryan, who I was, I guess, friends with, who had also been doing similar creative ventures, basically said, look, I have this camera and I have some gear, and if you want, you can make something a little short. I'll be in it with you, and we can just, it was honestly for me to practice writing and to practice directing.
Well, I remember my one contribution to that, which
Yeah.
was because I'm obsessed with the movie Out of Sight. There's two things that film really does. One is that it plays with time, cutting back and forth across time, which clearly we're both addicted to.
Apparently.
And there's this moment where George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez meet up after a while in the movie, and they take on these fake names in this brief, just witty conversation, and they call themselves Gary and Celeste. So I said to her, write a thing about Gary and Celeste and we'll play them, and I don't know what that'll be at all, but just...
So that is basically how Dreamtime was born. So the first short film is called Dreamtime, and it is a two-person short film that takes place in one location. I was really into at the time, and I think you were too, before sunrise and before sunset. I was absolutely enthralled because I was just, holy crap, it's a movie about two people, and the entire time it's just them talking, and I can't stop watching it.
And I remember, because we were talking a lot about before sunset especially, I was like, oh, here's what we can do. Like, we have no money, so we can film a thing that's, you know, a short film, maybe it's 20 minutes long, and then, you know, because we like these things over time, if we shoot one later that is also 20 minutes, then after we do 3, we can stick them together, and then we'll have a feature film and qualify for film festivals.
We can try and do something like that.
Yeah,
So we knew
that was the plan.
We knew from the beginning that we wanted to have something that we would revisit, and then I wanted to create a thing that was just two people, and then have it be this night, all in one night, this thing that they go through. And so I wrote this story about a complicated relationship between two people who met as teenagers when Gary's dad marries Celeste's mom.
Careful with that. Remember our parents' wedding?
No, Gary, I can't remember 4 whole years ago.
I'm only trying to remind you that you and alcohol didn't mesh well together that evening.
Ah, that was different. See, you were becoming my stepbrother. I was in mourning.
We for sure had at least 2 people there at all times, possibly up to like 4?
And they were all really, really good friends of ours.
Along with my brother doing...
Well, I want to get into her. All right, stand aside, boy. You had your chance.
No, he helped a lot. We wanted to let me try direct. I hadn't directed film, like, except in school. And so it was really just a chance where I was going to be able to do that in the real world. And it got into multiple film festivals. And I think that was when we kind of had this like spark of like, okay, good. What we already thought
We can do
we're gonna
this.
do it.
Yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
do it. But once 5 years later came along and we were talking about it, because it's basically, this is a thing that the two of us share,
That's
we
true.
wanted you to direct the second one.
We were looking at each other like, okay, we've aged a little bit. It feels like time's passed. We can do something. And so we made a second short called Without Words that takes place 5 years later, that they actually have to come together for the parents' anniversary party.
10 years? Jesus. Your mom's a saint. I can't stand that man for like 10 minutes.
I'm throwing them a party.
You're throwing them a party.
A surprise party.
A surprise party.
What, are we playing tennis? You don't have to throw everything back at me that I'm saying.
And then it was like me stepping into that chair was different because this was still her baby, and I felt, you know, this weight of responsibility of not letting her down. But also, if there was anything new that I had that didn't conflict with what it was before, and I think that really what I brought, which you had in your head too, but I know was like the thing that was fueling me, was like knowing like, okay, when we do this thing, we're gonna be able to cut to the footage of the old stuff. And
Yeah.
like, that was the thing that I was really, really excited about. And so I had that in my head of like, when can we do this and how can we match angles so that we can kind of jump in and out of time and stuff like that. And I think that it landed well when we went to festivals and people appreciated it. But because you didn't see any full scenes from part 1, we didn't have the full buy-in from people. Like, I think the flashbacks meant less to them than they meant to us. But in this new one, because of how she's restructured it, it's going to really land. What she did is brilliant. As far as how she restructured everything we've done, but she restructured everything we've done, and so we have all of these moments that echo the old stuff. So we met a year ago now, where she had this child who looks like he could be our child.
Kind of does.
And I was like, this is production value, can we use your child? Which she agreed to, and I was like, okay, guess it's time to write part 3, so I figure she's gonna go and come back with another 20 pages for us to shoot. You wanna tell them what happened?
Well, you know what, the pandemic had just happened. We had all been trapped in a box of our homes, or and having a lot of horrible things going on. When I had this opportunity to write something, and there was a spark of a thought of like, I could do something creative again, I just thought, you know what this needs? It needs to be a feature where we interweave those first 2 movies throughout. I wrote the first few scenes, and as I was writing it, I knew if this was 20 minutes, there was no way this could be in it, but it just felt like it had always been meant that way.
And the more that we go through the script and are breaking down how are we going to shoot this again, the more patterns we're noticing and realizing, stuff that neither of us even realized was in there. It's not even we have to try to make it do it, it's already on the page.
It's just there.
Yeah, this one we decided we needed to direct it together for all of the reasons.
All of the reasons.
Not only is it a lot easier when in any scene that doesn't have the 2 of us to know that the person who's behind the camera is the person we trust the most. It just felt really natural. We figured out a rhythm at this point on how to switch off.